One of the best things that has been going on recently when it comes to theatrical releases is that a lot of older movies are getting a chance to shine again. It's really great because sometimes you'll grow up with movies that you watched many, many times over on TV, cable, DVD, and you're thinking, well, these are great movies, these are among my favorites of all time, but you never really got a chance to see them on the biggest canvas imaginable. And so imagine my surprise when a movie that was one of my favorites, Jurassic Park, is getting a re-release because it's the 30th anniversary. It doesn't look like it's 30 years old. Like, you're watching this movie, especially right now, and there are moments in this, especially with the CGI, one of the first movies, maybe the first one in fact, to pioneer that, and it just looks like it was done yesterday. It feels like a modern movie in every sense of the word. And that's the power of Spielberg. He has a way of making something feel incredibly timeless. I mean, I guess you could consider this a spoiler for the video because, this is me just gushing about it already. But that's the point of these videos. They're supposed to be lookbacks, and they are about the best movies that are among my catalog. Like, these are the movies that I love the most. Jurassic Park has had many sequels over the years, including the last 3 Jurassic World movies, but I can honestly say none of them have come close to capturing what Spielberg did in this first film. Not even Spielberg's second movie, The Lost World, which has some great sequences, doesn't have something which is like as awe-inspiring as, say, the first moment when they enter Jurassic Park, or the T-Rex escaping the confinement and then eventually trying to kill everybody, or the raptor sequence in the kitchen. There's nothing quite like that in any of the other movies. There are a couple of moments that are very tense in the other movies, especially the recent one. There was this moment with Bryce Dallas Howard in water, and this dinosaur's over her. That was pretty awesome. I think what Spielberg does over here in that first movie in this one is just lightning in a bottle. It's a film that just has every single thing going right for it. Of course, the visual spectacle is one thing, but it gives you characters to care about and to be invested in throughout the entire film. Like, at the end of the day, I can tell you how much I was rooting for Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler. As simply as their characters are placed in this movie, they're both great characters, and I wanted them to get out of tough situations. Same thing with Ian Malcolm. I was invested in these 3 storylines and, their little quirks and quips and, little character building moments along the way, especially what you get with Alan, because he's not great with kids. And when he is stuck with 2 kids in Jurassic Park and he's trying to help, get them safely to a spot where there's no more dinosaurs trying to eat them or trying to drop them off of fences into trees in a car. At that point of time, the connection that builds between them is genuinely wonderful. And there's also human moments between the owner of the park, Hammond, and other characters, which really sort of make people realize, okay, maybe we rushed into something we don't quite fully understand. All the Jurassic Park movies, or the Jurassic World movies, however you want to call this franchise, have had the exact same moral when it comes to something as abrasive and as unpredictable as, resurrecting dinosaurs, or trying to bring things into a world which it's not quite equipped for. There's going to be disastrous consequences. It's not as easy as just saying that, hey, here's a big, theme park. We're gonna have some fun with this one. You have to understand that, there are going to be pros and cons to that. And so the film's handling of those things too, especially when it comes to, those abrasive decisions, capitalism-wise and stuff like that, are still incredibly timely decisions. You could make the argument that that's why the other movies in this franchise have done a lot of this too, with escalating, demands and scale of those things. But at the same point of time, it's a lesson that is, very much imparted in the entire point of this franchise. Let's just put it that way. 93, when this movie came out, was a big year for Spielberg, because not only did he do this, he did another movie, and eventually it became this bit of a competition, because it was like, what exactly do you award? Do you award one of the greatest movies ever made, or do you award one of the greatest movies ever made? Eventually, a lot of the awards went to the other movie, which I will talk about at some point. It is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen as well. But it is genuinely remarkable how he managed to pull both of these off within the same year. And both of them are so vastly different in how they tell their respective stories. And both of them tell them just as effectively, if not better. Like, I don't think you could have tweaked anything in either Jurassic Park or Schindler's List, which is, going to make anything better. Every single thing that's thought out and methodically placed in those movies works for those movies. Jurassic Park, to me, is a film that I will constantly revisit over the years. I can't wait to show my own kids someday, and be like, hey guys, yeah, you guys like the first one, right? Okay, now settle back. I'll show you guys the sequels. Let me know what you guys think of them, and then I will disappoint them maybe a little bit. But I think at least the first one should go over pretty swimmingly. But seeing it in the theater was incredible yesterday because it was just great to see certain sequences that I have loved over the years on that big screen, especially the T-Rex escaping. That thing was incredible. I want to talk about this also because when I was watching it, there were kids in my theater. And parents had brought along their children. They're very small children. Children, I have to assume, have never seen Jurassic Park before. Which, if this is the first time that they got to see it, in 3D I might add, then that's amazing. Like, that's actually wonderful. I'm glad that that was the first exposure that they got to this. I'm hoping that, it just completely blew them away. I think it did because at least one kid sitting next to me couldn't take his eyes off the screen. He was so fixed on every single thing that was going on, especially after you see, the Brachiosaurus and stuff like that in the first time you enter the park. It was just really cool. It was just really cool to imagine that, some kid's life is changing right now in that theater. There were a lot of people who were fans in the theater, people who were applauding in the theater. I love moments like this. The communal experience that you can sometimes get with movies is genuinely rewarding. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you get some, annoying stuff, and some people who just, will keep talking during a movie or something like that. And those are the days where it sucks. But on the days like this, on the days when stuff like this happens, it is genuinely wonderful. And I'm so glad that Jurassic Park has earned that status in pop culture where it's managing to do that as best as it has. Also, one thing that really hit me more on watching it again was just how well it handled horror moments. Like, granted, something that comes up in conversations when it comes to horror is like a rating. The idea of, how something, if it doesn't have the most extreme rating, you can't really make it real horror. But keep in mind, Jaws was PG, which, granted, at this point of time, it would have gotten an R in today's, film climate. But at the time, it was PG. This movie was not rated R either. These are family movies. But there's moments in them that are genuinely very tense and horrific. You shouldn't be surprised watching them in Jurassic Park, though, because you've already seen Jaws at this point. So if you are somebody in 1993 who was going into the film, you know that Spielberg is capable of making you feel like you're shitting your pants, in certain moments. And again, the way he captures the scale and the size of certain moments, because when those dinosaurs are near you, it's dangerous. And I love the fact that he does that as well as he does. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't have any kind of enjoyment with the sequels. No, it's not like that. I think all of them have their moments. I think Jurassic World is my second favorite one, the first Jurassic World. But, there are some cool moments in it. No, not quite as, again, great as this one. But then subsequently, when it comes to The Lost World, which is my third favorite, or especially the other two Jurassic World movies, Jurassic Park 3, I haven't loved those, and I don't think they're as good because I think somewhere along the way they lose one of the components of this movie as well, one of the important aspects of it. The important aspect of it being, that immersion, that feeling of the size and scope of things, or, just giving that kind of threat exactly the kind of, credence that it deserves. And so I think it sort of suffers in that sense, the other movies. And it becomes a little too easy and non-threatening as a result of that. I think the way that is captured in this movie was really, really effective. So yes, I have finally done a video on Jurassic Park. It feels nice to talk about this movie to some degree finally, to talk about just how timeless a movie it remains, and I look forward to seeing it 200 more times in the future. If you guys, I mean, I'm assuming at this point of time, everybody's seen Jurassic Park, so why don't you guys let me know what you guys think of like the future installments? Like, do you guys love the other ones as well? Like, or your thoughts on this one? Or I'm curious to hear everything. Leave them in the comments down below. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.